Hi everyone, this is Minnie Perez of WiltonLive.com. We are here at Art Gallery 21 in Wilton Manors for the traveling Smithsonian exhibit, The Way We Worked. This exhibit highlights the journey, struggle, and triumph of the American workforce. There is a special area with contributions from local residents called Wilton Manors Works. It's designed to increase awareness of the LGBTQ community. We're going to take you on a guided tour of this amazing exhibit. We appreciate you joining us.
Hi, my name is Constance Rupinder, and I'm the president of Art Gallery 21, Inc., a 501c3 nonprofit organization registered with the state of Florida. We've been in business for 5 years now. We've showcased the work of more than 80 local artists, and we're thrilled that the city is beginning to respond. They have plans for the future that's going to bring more art to the art and entertainment district.
So could you tell me a little bit about this, your role with this art gallery?
Be glad to. Art Gallery 21's been in existence since July 2012 when we opened our doors. We used to hang art over in City Hall, and this building became available in 2011. So we approached the city about creating an art gallery here, and they're very supportive because after all, we are in the heart of the art and entertainment district. We've been doing 6 shows a year during the winter months, and then we do 1 show during the summer months. All of our artists up to date have been local artists who live in Broward County. A lot of our artists live right here in Wilton Manors or in Oakland Park. I am a founder. I'm also president of the nonprofit organization. I'm probably the biggest worker bee. I have a wonderful board who works with me, alongside with me, and we do whatever needs to be done.
So Constance, what kind of things can we expect to see in this exhibit?
Well, you're going to see a ton of photographs, I can tell you that, but we also have audio recordings, video recordings, and artifacts, and all of these things come from the National Archives up in Washington, D.C. A lot of people don't realize that the United States Congress is actually the one who paid for this exhibit. So I'm hoping that the Congress now will continue to support the National Endowment for the Humanities. This is the second section of the exhibit, and it talks about where we worked. For example, this large picture here of people working in a field. Now, even today with technology and all the machinery, there's still certain things that can only be done by hand. As you move through the exhibit, you'll see examples of where people worked: skyscrapers in New York City, coal mines in Pennsylvania, and also there's a wonderful photograph from 9/11 of our first responders. There are a lot of little surprises as you move through the exhibit too, which I'd love to have a chance to show you.
Tell me about Hometown Connections.
Well, it talks a lot about communities and how cities are built around factories and that kind of thing. But one of the fun facts is the peach here. It's in Gaffney, Georgia, and if you're a Netflix fan and you watch House of Cards, this is where the main character comes from. So, you know, we're finding a lot of these little bits and pieces come from our visitors. They point them out to us, and so we're learning as they learn. I particularly like this big photograph here because it shows a switchboard, and I think this one dates back to like the 1940s. So today, with our technology, you can use your cell phone and call somebody who's in Africa or Australia. Here, you had to go through a process. You'd call your local operator, the local operator would call the long-distance overseas operator, the overseas operator would make a connection to wherever you were calling, and then that would have to go through a little bit more process until you got to the actual person that you wanted to speak to. So it could take as much as 10 or 15 minutes before your call was completed.
Speaking of phones, what could you tell us about this little button here?
Well, let me tell you about that because this is a really cool thing. Each of the exhibits has one of these little white buttons on it, and there's a phone number at the bottom. You can call that phone number and you would dial in the numbers and the hashtag, and the Smithsonian curator will come on the line and he will provide additional stories about this part of the exhibit. And again, I'd like to point out each section of the exhibit has these buttons, so it creates an interactive experience for the visitor to the exhibit. We posted this picture on our Facebook page last week, and I was really amazed at how many people responded to it. Either they had been an operator themselves or their mother or grandmother had worked it. So it was nice to be able to connect to people that way.
In this section of Who Works, what can you tell us about this?
Well, who works? You work, I work, we all work. But this particular section focuses not just on the male work experience, but also how women began to move in to the workforce. Now this photograph here dates back to 1918, but there are additional photographs in this part of the exhibit that shows when women entered the workforce during the 40s, during World War II. And when the men came back and the women had to give up their jobs, they didn't leave the workplace. They liked working. So who works? We all work.
And so relevant to today's politics, could you tell me about this piece depicting the migrant workers?
Well, this one down here behind me are Mexican migrant workers in an agricultural field. But if you go south to Hialeah or the Redlands and down south in Miami, you'll find these workers. There are Mexican workers and workers from Central and South America who come here every year to work the farms. So the tomatoes that you and I buy at Publix, they came through these workers. But the rest of the exhibit also showcases the other types of workers that came to this country looking for a better life. I think it's probably one of the most important parts of the entire exhibit because today in this political climate, as you said, we have a lot of focus on immigration, and it's scary because there are people who have lived here for a long time and now they're afraid to come out of their houses. So I hope that we can address that through dialogue like we're having right now.
Okay, Constance, so tell me, why do we work?
Well, why do you think we work? We work for money. But I'm happy to note that in today's society, more and more people are trying to find work that has value beyond the dollars that they earn. For example, me, I do this kind of work as a volunteer, but I also have a day job that I enjoy doing, and it has value. It's contributing to society. So I think more and more we're going to hear of people working because they want to, because they feel like they're doing something that matters.
And yesterday was the opening of this exhibit, right? How was that?
It was fabulous. We can't believe how many people showed up for the first day. We had well over 40 people move through the exhibit yesterday, so if that's any indication, I think we might break a record here.
Oh, great. And yeah, and you actually told me about a couple people that showed up. Could you tell us a little bit?
Absolutely. I was so excited to hear that. We had two women that came in yesterday about 1:30. They had just had lunch up at one of the restaurants on the drive. They actually came to Wilton Manors to have lunch and visit the exhibit. So I'm hoping that down the road we'll be able to show that there is an economic impact for these kinds of cultural experiences. I hope that people who come to this exhibit will see something that will spark memories for them, because memories are all we have.
Tell me a little bit about the local contributions for Wilton Manors Works.
I'd be glad to. We put out a call for photographs in January. There are 26 photographs. They were framed as a part of the grant, and each of the contributors will receive their framed photo back at the end of the exhibition. All of the photos are of local people doing their jobs. We cover probably a lot of different types of jobs that people do around South Florida, and we were really thrilled to have such high participation in this kind of an event.
What impact do you think this exhibit has on a small town like Wilton Manors?
Well, I hope it being a neighborhood art gallery, it has an impact at the local level. We've had a lot of local artists who have shown their work here. We've had artists who have just begun painting. We've also had artists who have won the Florida Artists Consortium and have huge bodies of work. So we have, and everything in between. So we hope that the public is getting a great art experience and the artists are getting a great cultural experience. We hope you'll stop by, visit, and see the way we worked. It's a wonderful exhibit, a Smithsonian traveling exhibit. You won't get a chance to see it anywhere else in South Florida, and it'll be here through May 6th. Thank you for watching WiltonLive.com.